I guess. I don't think people like these videos I do when I'm in the truck. I like them because I'm dressed and I feel like a lot of the videos I make at home are not really presentable. They're not really proper. And I don't know. I think sometimes the vibration and the noise makes people not like my videos in these on the road. I want to talk about Alex Jones. He has made allegations that he had a hand in leading, or he conspired in leading the January 6th insurrection. I haven't watched the whole video. I don't intend to. I get the bare bones of it, the bare gist of it is I was involved. Alex Jones, he is a white supremacist. I think he's one of the white folks that's smart enough to see I can use this, but not go all the way and be like totally anti-Jew and totally homophobe and totally Nazi. Alex Jones is a hustler. And he's been at this game for a very long time. I think that this is a ploy to remain relevant. I think that when he got kicked off social media, it's like before Trump, like 15 or 14 or something, he got kicked off of all the platforms. I think that he pushed this narrative that I'm edgy and I'm cool and that, hey guys, this is we're resistance. Because he used to say that a lot. I'm the resistance, and I think that for a while that worked. But this goes back to what I tell you guys, that people's attention span is just too damn short to care. And I think the band's hurt him. I do. I think the band's hurt him more than we know. These guys look 20, 30 years ahead, maybe not that far into the situation. They look ahead. And I think he sees that, some of that stuff's that hurt him. It's like Trump with Facebook and all that. I think that hurt Trump. I did. I think if Trump was to run again, those social media bans will hurt him. He can BS and he can play and he can lie. The fact remains the same that you need social media in this day and age to get your message out there, so people know what you're doing, what you're talking about, and to underline and highlight the points you need to make and what you say. Social media is a way for you to clear the smoke sometimes when people say things and it's not clear. It just gives you a chance to just have your own little space. Trump lost that, and so did Alex Jones. And I think that he'll never acknowledge it. I think it hurt him. I think that this is another example of him trying to remain relevant. I said before. I think that look, I don't like Alex Jones. I don't respect him. He is what he is. I remember one time one of those guys came up there and they were talking about racism and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, you think I want to turn America into South Africa?" And I knew right then what that was. This is the 1488, making a world safe for white children. That's what this is. This is that. Just tone down a little bit. Just tone it down a little bit. Just don't be so loud. Don't be so blatant. You know what I mean? Just tone it down and maybe bring a couple black people on. That's what Alex Jones was. And I think Alex Jones, the way he went when Trump got elected and stuff he was talking about, it's kind of like one of those mile markers on that road to a better society in the culture war. Like that Alex Jones wanted to be mainstream and only through Trump Trump could he be that way? That Trump went on the show, didn't he? Trump talked to him, I think. You know, this is all about becoming mainstream. That, hey guys, fascism's cool, racism is cool, homophobia is cool. It's okay to slur people. It's okay to go out here and call people trannies. That's okay. When Trump had the porn star thing, what did Alex Jones say? He said, they're just mad at Trump because he isn't gay. And I put that in my head. How can you say you're a Christian? How can you say you're a Christian and support a man that fucked a porn star while his wife was pregnant? But you can run up here and spout that moral mumbo jumbo to me. Man, kiss my ass. You kiss, go, miss me with that shit, Cracker. Miss me with that shit. So I think we're living in interesting time. We're living in an interesting era. We're living in the era of the culture war. Don't forget, you know, it already started with maybe the bans hurt Alex Jones from moving forward, from growing any larger. Don't forget, he got these lawsuits. The Newtown, when he said it's all fake, the kids didn't get killed, those lawsuits are still moving forward. Don't forget about that. That stuff costs money. Those lawyers and all that costs money, baby. You know. So I think that Alex Jones is he's a hustler. He's a huckster. He's been at this for as long as I've been alive. He's been at it for a long time. I mean, he's smart. He's probably struggling. As I said, I'm looking at this like an FBI agent looks at a serial killer, which is that I'm not glorifying a serial killer, but I am acknowledging that this act is something that would not surprise me if he did it. And also that for a narcissist, for a sociopath, their ego is, hey, I got more kills. I did this. That's speaking in them, you know. So for me, you know, I don't know what to think about it. It doesn't make a difference to me. It just, this is what a person of his stature would say to remain relevant in a world, in a changing world. You know, I think Alex Jones helped to push that BS about Joe Biden being a communist and shit. And we all know that the polls on Joe Biden are very favorable. He's been in office, what, 7 months now? 7, 8 months now? You know, it's June? Yeah, so his polls are still pretty favorable. I mean, look, one thing about rednecks, I wish I could just tell them, is that you can have your opinions about gay people and stuff like that, but sometimes I think, like, this goes for evangelical Christians, the right wing, all that. You can go so far right that a good portion of the country is like, hey, we don't want to do with this. And I think Alex Jones don't get that. I think a lot of these guys don't get that like, you got to know when the tide turns. And you got to know when you've been beat, when you've been whooped. If we had a Jewish president, and someone's like, I don't like Jews, they're bad, but he's very popular, and he does things like, yo, he's legit, you should probably tone down the anti-Semitism. People like Alex Jones, they wouldn't do it. They'd be like, no, I still don't like Jews. I hate fags. I don't like faggots. Like, when you do, like, people just want a rational government. People want to go without every day hearing about the president saying something fucking stupid about Muslims or inflaming war and stuff. People don't want to see a Sarah Palin presidency. That's the thing. That's stuff she did. Said stupid shit. People are like, wait a minute. That John McCain, are you behind this? He's like, no. Yeah. I mean, I just think that I think the right. Well, I hate to give him information, but I think the right should know that sometimes you've got to make amends, and you've got to have a balance in that, and you got to know that even if your enemy does something that's not popular, tone it down. That there'll be time for that later. And people like Alex Jones don't do that. Alex Jones is really a hardliner. And it's amazing that all the time I followed him, I never really recognized that until I stepped back. That he's yeah. I mean, like, you ever like the people he bring on this show? See, this is what I learned. If you're racist and you have a platform, you don't say racist things. You bring on people who are tacitly racist. That's how it works. You bring on people who, do and say things that are a little bit cheeky. That's the hustle. What's that guy he brought on? I'm not getting into all. I'm just saying to you, Alex Jones, the hustler. He's been at this for a very long time. He's a person that I think he's losing relevance. I mean that's guys. That's really what all this stuff means. The polls talking about like more to contraception, gay marriage. What that really means is people like Alex Jones are losing relevance. They are. I mean, you're going to always have that angry, crazy white male minority that's like, the world's against us because we're white. You're going to always have that. Okay, whatever. But if your whole thing is like gay frogs and there's an agenda to make everybody gay, and the country's like, hey, we don't care if you're gay. That means like your whole narrative has not aged well. You understand? Does that make sense? Your whole narrative has not aged well, and you become irrelevant. I think for any content creator out there, they should know that. They should, I think Alex Jones is kind of in a echo chamber, if you will. And that's how we all are now with social media. We're all in our own echo chambers to an extent or another. I just think that good riddance. It's a bad rubbish. Thanks for listening.